Just to make things even more complicated, mortar grenades were fired from Lebanon into Israel on Israel's northern border, and Israel retaliated. Hezbollah, the militant organization in Lebanon, took responsibility for that, and Israel struck Hezbollah in return. So we actually have two fronts now, and this is exactly what Hamas is hoping to do, to ignite the entire region, to have as many actors as possible joining their fight against Israel, and this is exactly what Israel doesn't want. Israel wants to contain its fight, its war with Hamas to Gaza.
In Israel, gun battles are continuing in 8 areas. The Prime Minister said that Israeli defence forces will reduce to rubble anywhere where Hamas operates. Some of the victims have been named. One, Sani Luke, was a 30-year-old German citizen who was there for a music festival. Her body was paraded by terrorists. Well, let's speak to Jotam Confino, who joins us from Tel Aviv. Jotam, thank you for speaking to us.
My pleasure.
Do bring us up to date then, because we're starting to get a bit of an understanding of where fighting is continuing this morning. What have we learned? What do we know so far today?
So we know for a fact, according to the military, that there are still 8 focal points along the Gaza border where Israeli forces are battling Hamas terrorists. Israel has recaptured 29 of those areas that were held by Hamas yesterday. So the battle is still ongoing. Along the border, Israel is carrying out airstrikes and has hit more than 400 targets belonging to Hamas, including the home of the leader, Yahya Sinwar, and also the home of the intelligence leader. I just want to show you a little bit of what some of the Hamas rockets have done, which kind of damage they have done. We're now actually not in Tel Aviv anymore. I moved to Ashkelon, the city of Ashkelon, which is very close to the Gaza border. And this is the kind of destruction.
Do describe to us what's there, Jotam, for those who are...
So this is the situation here in Ashkelon with a lot of destruction. Cars have been destroyed. An entire apartment building that I'm looking at right now is completely shattered as well. And inside Gaza, like I said, the Israeli military is really preparing for the next stage of this war. The first stage, as Netanyahu he specified, is to make sure that Israel recaptures all of the territory adjacent to the Gaza border, and only after that will the focus be on the Gaza Strip. And we know that Israel is also trying to target some of their leaders, so we expect that maybe some of them will be killed, and of course this is going to escalate the situation even more. And just to make things even more complicated, mortar grenades were fired from Lebanon into Israel on Israel's northern border, and Israel retaliated. Hezbollah, the militant organization in Lebanon, took responsibility for that, and Israel struck Hezbollah in return. So we actually have two fronts now, and this is exactly what Hamas is hoping to do, to ignite the entire region, to have as many actors as possible joining their fight against Israel, and this is exactly what Israel doesn't want. Israel wants to contain its fight, its war with Hamas to Gaza.
Gosh, and it is quite remarkable where you're reporting from this morning, with several cars which have been burned out, struck, the road around you destroyed and disrupted as well, with perhaps a crater from some sort of explosion as well, rubble around the place. And as you say, people sort of very quietly and calmly going around almost tidying up behind you as well, Jotam. It's really quite astonishing. It's interesting what you say about this sort of intention to try to ignite the entire region. What do you make of Benjamin Netanyahu's language that he's been using so far? I mean, it has been very strong. We are at war. This is not an operation. This is not rounds of fighting. We are at war, says the Israeli Prime Minister.
Well, we all knew that we were at war about an hour into yesterday in the morning, when people found out that Hamas militants were roaming the streets and killing civilians. He only, of course, made it official. I would say that it rings a bit hollow when Netanyahu says that he will, or we will, as in Israel will win, Israel will eradicate Hamas. Israel has fought against Hamas numerous times since they took power in 2006 in Gaza Strip, and Israel has not been able to eradicate Hamas. And we've heard the same language over and over, once a year. The past couple of years, we've had a conflict with Hamas or Islamic Jihad in Gaza almost once a year. And every time we hear the leaders saying the same, we will win, we will beat them. And it hasn't happened. In fact, Hamas has gotten even stronger. The fact that they could surprise Israel in such a way, launch an attack, both land, sea, and air, plus rockets, without Israel knowing, goes to show that Hamas is much, much stronger than Israel thought they were.
Yeah. You mentioned Lebanon as well, and that's been a sort of a point of interest and a point that we're following this morning, just in terms of their involvement. One analysis that we heard earlier on that, Jotam, was that this was Lebanon, Hezbollah, kind of indicating support for Hamas without wishing to tip the scales too keenly in favour
Yeah.
of mass conflict. Do you think that that is the consensus as to what has happened this morning?
Well, we know that Hezbollah has to be very, very careful. But they have, first of all, their raison d'etre, their whole reason for existing is to fight Israel. So whenever there's fighting going on like this, it's natural for them to show their support for Hamas and to try and show like they're actually participating, but without provoking Israel too much so as to drag Israel into another Lebanon war. So it's a very delicate, fine balance, very, very delicate, which is why we saw limited attack mortar grenades, not a massive bombardment of missiles flying over Israel, but a limited attack. But it's enough for Israel to respond. But right now it looks like Hezbollah hasn't fully participated. It hasn't declared that it's joining Hamas and that it's now going to bombard all of northern Israel. But again, we have no idea what's going to happen in the coming hours. Everything is very, very fluid.
Yes, that's the thing. Do we anticipate any further comments, any further meetings, any further announcements from Benjamin Netanyahu? It seems to me that he's been offering quite regular, frequent updates, actually.
Yeah, it took him about 6 hours just to really convene the cabinet and to put out a statement. But yeah, since then, we've heard him several times speak, and we will hear it throughout the day. They're meeting the security cabinet again today, and we will get updates. The defense minister is also updating. And of course, the military is the main source of information now. They constantly update, especially on where the rockets being fired. And they're now trying to also identify who's been killed, and they have named a lot of them. But still, a lot of information missing. And this is what Israelis are currently waiting for.